many people expected, The Predator is the #1 movie of this weekend. But is it a movie that you would enjoy? In my opinion, yes, but it's actually not the kind of Predator movie you would expect. And although it does take a lot of its cues from the original, iconic Predator movie from 1987 with Arnold Schwarzenegger, it has a different kind of tone than I think you would expect it to have, given, the franchise it's a part of. And I think that's part of the reason, or a big reason, why it's getting such horrible reviews. And I'll explain later. But first, a quick plot summary. In The Predator, a rogue predator alien crash lands on Earth for some mysterious reason, who's being hunted by other predators who've come after him for another mysterious reason. You'll have to watch the movie to find out, because I don't want to give away spoilers. And of course, when you have all of these strange, deadly aliens on the planet, the US government gets involved, and regular, suburban residents also get mixed up in everything. And it stars, a government agent, like kind of a sniper and government military guy played by Boyd Holbrook, and a band of other, government misfits who get mixed up. But anyways, let's get into what makes this movie good and what makes it something that is disappointing for a lot of people. This movie was directed by Shane Black, who was an actor in the original, Predator movie. So he definitely knows a lot about this franchise, and Shane Black is an experienced director. He's fairly well known, and he's been working for several years, and he's fairly respected. Now, one of the things that made the original Predator so interesting to people is that it had like a cast of characters who would have, macho characters who would have all of this like witty kind of adult banter with each other. Their personalities came out. This is the kind of, cast of characters that became popular in 80s movies, or late 70s, like Aliens and Predator. In these kinds of movies, you would have like a colorful cast of characters, most of whom would wind up dead by the movie's end, but were very interesting and, unfiltered, and they had very, colorful personalities, and they were, didn't hold anything back when they were joking around with each other. And Shane Black in this movie, The Predator, he keeps that up. And I think he did that on purpose because he wants to, evoke some of the same things that made the original Predator movie and movies like those, successful and memorable, the characters in the movie. And he does succeed. Like all of the sub characters in the movie, they're pretty cool. And I don't think this is a spoiler because you know how movies like this go. Most of these people wind up getting killed by the end of the movie's end, by the time the movie ends. And I was sad when some of them went because I wanted to see more of these guys, as things went on. But, that's how horror movies go, right? The curious thing, though, Predator isn't exactly a horror movie. It's more like a straight-up action movie. Now, this is where I think causes a lot of the disappointment. Whereas the first Predator movie of Arnold Schwarzenegger, it was about this stealthy alien. You didn't know much about it, and it was the first time anyone had seen it sneaking up on people, and it seemed so strong and powerful with all of its advanced technology, unbeatable. It was the whole thing, like, you can't see it, that whole phrase, what you don't see is scarier than what you do see. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I'm sure you've heard of that. And the whole thing about The Predator was it was filmed and shot as if it was a horror movie, the original one. This movie isn't really a horror movie at all. When the Predators come out, they're not filmed and it's not written as if, what is it? It's sneaking around the corner. They basically just come out as like, hulking aliens, and people fight them like it's a straight up action movie. There's not too much mystery. There's not too much, suspense or intrigue or fear necessarily in this movie. It's, more just like guns blazing and, there's a monster, there's a military person, etc., etc. There's a lot of gore and everything, but it's treated almost matter-of-factly, which is a huge difference between the earlier Predator movies. Even Predator 2, which a lot of people didn't like, the Danny Glover movie, that was more faithful to the whole horror aspect of this franchise. It's part of what makes Predator famous. And this movie, The Predator, kind of abandons a lot of that horror stuff. And I think that's where a lot of people are disappointed, because I think they expected this movie to be the spiritual successor, or to carry the torch of earlier Predator movies, and it doesn't in that regard. It does with the characters, like I said, but not in the tone of the movie. And I think that's, the big problem for a lot of people. And in my opinion, if you go into this movie understanding that, and preparing yourself for the fact that this isn't like the earlier Predator movies, you won't be disappointed. You'll be able to accept this movie as its own thing, and not necessarily a part of those, which might be a problem because it is a part of those. It's the same franchise, but they wanted to go in a completely different direction. There's a lot of humor in this movie, More so than the earlier ones. Some reviewers have said there's so much humor they thought this was a comedy. I don't agree with that at all. I mean, I still didn't think, as a watcher, I didn't see this movie as a comedy. I thought it was an action movie with like a lot of jokes in it. But I didn't feel like I was watching like a sitcom or anything, as some reviewers are like saying, and I just don't agree with them. But there are a lot of jokes in this movie. So, it's action and comedy, blended together. But I'd say there's still more action and comedy, which is why I wouldn't say this movie is like too funny. I think it's funny enough. Now, the movie does end with a cliffhanger. Well, not a cliffhanger, but with kind of a... By the time the movie ends, you can tell that they're setting up future sequels. We'll see, though, if they get to make future sequels, because I think The Predator, this one, might be challenged at the box office. It's definitely the number one movie at the weekend, but, a lot of audiences are kind of meh on it, and, we'll see what its international numbers are. It costs a lot more to make than the last movie, Predators, with Adrian Brody. That was a good one, too, when they got transported to, like, this planet, this hunting planet by the Predators. If you haven't seen Predators from 2010 or 2011, I recommend seeing it. It's a lot better than people gave it credit for. Nobody saw it, but it was a really good movie. So, we'll see. This movie made more money than that one, but it cost more to make. So it has to make a lot more money to succeed. And I'm not sure it will, because a lot of people are kind of, it's okay. And I think, it is decent. It's certainly not bad. But I don't know if it's good enough to keep this franchise going. But if it was, I'd be happy. I'd still see more Predator movies. So I give it the okay. It's not bad. It's not great. But I think it's a decent time at the movies if you like action movies with a lot of aliens in them. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel because I appreciate your viewership, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.